Welcome to A Seat at the Table with Bishop John Dolan of the Diocese of Phoenix. We have an exciting show for you today. I think you're really going to enjoy our guests. We have with us in our studios Bishop Artur Bubnevych of the Byzantine Holy Protection of Mary Eparchy, and we have Bishop Emeritus Thomas Olmsted, and we have our Bishop, Bishop John Dolan. So bishops, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Joyce.
So glad you're here. And I think before we start, we need to say that many Latin Catholics are unaware that the Catholic Church is a community of churches, and we have 23 Eastern Rite churches, full communion with Rome. The Byzantine Church is one of them, and we're just so delighted that you could be here today with us, Bishop Artur.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So with that said, let's start with you and get to know you a little bit. Last November, the Holy Father, Pope Francis, has named you as Bishop of this eparchy, and it's a big role. You preside over 13 Western states. You've got 19 churches, a mission, outreaches. I mean, you've even got Hawaii and Alaska, Bishop, so it's a lot on your plate. But tell us a little bit about you and your background. I'm really curious, something I read about your baptism. Tell us a little bit about you and your journey, how you came here to America.
Yeah, I was carried by Our Lady of Perpetual Help, I would say. I was baptized 2 weeks after I was born in 1975 in the Soviet Union. And at that time, the faith was practiced in secret. And my parents were middle class. My mother was a teacher. My father was an engineer, and they had to be members of the Soviet Communist Party, and they were not able to attend the church, of course. So I was baptized secretly, and then that was by the initiation. And then I was raised not practicing. My family did not practice. My grandfather on my mother's side was a big communist. He had all the books of Lenin, Marx, and he overseed the greater part of the region of Carpathians. And my grandmother on my mother's side was, on the other hand, a very prayerful lady. She had her prayer corner. She had her radio, and we lived very near to Hungarian border, so she was able to catch the waves of the Vatican radio and listen to the Mass every Sunday. And I know she was blessing me every time she was passing on Sunday. I was sleeping in my bed. She was blessing me. When I was falling asleep, they started talking about religion, about God, about priests, how holy the priests were. They were the most important people in the village, the doctor and the priest. And I always thought to myself, priest must be a Superman. He knows Latin, and he does all of those healings and all of those prayers in Latin and Old Slavonic. But they were always talking about when I was falling asleep, never in my presence, so I don't share with others, and so they don't get in trouble. When I went to college, the Soviet Union fell apart, and I was interested in what my grandma does. When I was thirsty, I came in and found the water that was there in the bottles. Didn't know that it was holy water, so I just drank it. Then I opened the prayer book, started reading Our Father, Hail Mary, Cross. I always believed in God, but I always believed in the supernatural power. But I never really was taught anything about religion. So I opened the book, I was praying the prayers, I was making the sign of the cross. And that's how I was my first encounter with God at the prayer corner of my grandmother. When Soviet Union fell apart, I was approached by the father of my godmother, and he was the seminarian in the Blessed Theodore Ramja times. When the seminary was closed, the Soviets came in, our region was occupied and annexed to the Soviet Ukraine. He got scared. He never got ordained, but always was dreaming that someone from his family would continue his mission. He saw something in me that I did not see, of course. I was not aware of it. So he invited me. He invited me to come into the church, to start attending the Divine Liturgy, to learn catechism, to read the Bible. And he said, I see in you the potential to be a priest. And I told him, well, I think priest is something supernatural. How can I be a priest? I'm just a human being with all my sins and imperfection. And he said to me one thing. He said, if you want to be a priest, you want to be a servant to the people. You want to serve your people. Would you like to serve to the people? And I said, yes, I would like. And that's how my journey started. As soon as I said yes, my life changed. So I started preparing, coming to the church, getting more initiated into the life of the church. Then the seminary opened in 1994. It was the first year that they came on from under the ground, and they were still under the construction of the seminary building. We lived in the builder's boxes, and I was able to enter the seminary. We had 50 people. They accepted only 13, and I was there among the 13.
What an incredible journey you've had.
So,
baptized in secret, your grandmother's prayer corner. I love it. It's an amazing story, very colorful. And Bishop Dolan, you were at, both of you, Bishop Olmsted and Bishop Dolan, you were both at this beautiful installation service in California. What was it like for us as Latin Catholics to attend something like this? What was it like, Bishop?
Well, very different than what we would have in the Latin Church. When I was ordained a bishop in San Diego, it was there were a lot of bishops, and we had Eastern Rite bishops with us as well. But it was different in the way in which we prayed, of course, and. But I have to say, I was deeply moved by the wonderful and really the color, I would say, of the celebration, and of course the joy that was beaming from your heart and from the hearts of those who were gathered. It was just truly a joyful moment.
I can only imagine. And Bishop Olmsted, you were there as well, but you were also apostolic administrator for quite a while for the Eparchy. So tell us a little bit about that and what you thought of the installation as well.
Well, the installation was marvelous. For me, it was a real inspiration. Every part of it, the evening vespers before, as well as the ordination itself. But it was a privilege to be able to exercise some leadership. It was kind of a very unusual thing because I couldn't really be the leader at the liturgy because I didn't know the liturgy. It's more complex and it's quite different from the Latin Rite. But I was always made to feel very welcome, and I was deeply impressed by the preaching. The Eastern Church is closer to the fathers of the Church, John Chrysostom, Athanasius. That came through in your ordination as well, Ephraim. And that, for me, that was a really inspiring. So I always insisted that the priests preach, or even the deacons, because they preached really well.
Wonderful. Well, one of the things you notice when you visit a Byzantine church, and I've been to the 2 Byzantine churches here in the Phoenix area, there's icons everywhere. And this isn't one of them. This is a rather new icon that was commissioned, I think it was in 2017, 2018. It's Our Lady Help of Persecuted Christians. Many people are unaware that the Byzantine church has suffered great persecution through the years. Great persecution. And Bishop Dolan, you have a Master of Arts degree in art, church art specifically. So I'd wonder if we could just talk about, we brought this icon in today, talk about it a little bit, and maybe you could talk a bit about your Byzantine tradition as well.
Well, I would just say that just briefly, as I'm just taking a look at this, of course, Christ is the center, and Mary is holding her cloak out for so many different people, different colors, different nations. I'm not sure. I would have to really focus on this, but I think it's very profound. What I always enjoy about icons, especially like this, is that really there isn't a horizon per se, that we are the horizon for Mary and the Lord. And as we're looking upon this icon, they're looking upon us. But I'm sure you have a lot more to say about that than I do, since that's been your life.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, I have a icon of Our Lady Perpetual Help on a Panagia, which is the holy Panagia, the holy. She is the one that when I put her on, when I put on the vestments, I pray for the purity of heart, for the purity of faith. And Bishop is the carrier of the Mother of God. She is the carrier of God. She's the God bearer. No, the priests in the Eastern Rite got to carry the cross, but bishops, the one distinctive feature of the bishop is to carry the panagia. Also, if for some solemn events, the bishop carries the cross, like for ordination. Metropolitan, the archbishop, would carry 2 panagias and 1 cross. So the higher you are, the more you carry. We have Our Lady. Our Lady is everywhere. In every region, we have a pilgrim place to Our Lady. It's in the whole world. We have Our Lady, Helper of Mother, Our Lady of Perpetual Help, Our Lady, Help of Persecuted Christians, Our Lady of Holy Protection, to which our Eparchy is dedicated here in the Western United States. My personal devotion to Our Lady started when I entered the seminary. The priest that was in charge of the seminarians, the prefect, he said to me, pray to Our Lady of Perpetual Help. Pray every day 9 Hail Marys, then the Creed, and tell her, please, Mother of Perpetual Help, intercede for me in the hour of my death and increase my faith, hope, and charity. And that's what I've been praying all the years. And she was just carrying me. She was carrying me all the way through the studies, all the way to United States, to Our Lady of Perpetual Help, church, to Our Lady of Perpetual, to Our Lady of the protection of Our Lady, Eparchy. The image of Our Lady of Help of Persecuted Christians have this extended veil that is very popular icon in the region I come from. Our Lady holds her veil extended over the people. She's protecting the people. So I think the Our Lady of Help of Persecuted Christian is very, very similar to the image of Our Lady, Holy Protection of Our Lady. Yeah, to the icon of Holy Protection of Our Lady.
Beautiful. And Bishop Olmsted, I'm sure you noticed when you were in some of the Byzantine churches, the St. Thomas in Gilbert specifically, I remember the tabernacle. It's a beautiful image of Our Lady. And then you reach into that tabernacle right in the center of that image to reach the holy species. Bishop, what do you think about the emphasis on, they call her the Theotokos, and just how does that strike you, seeing all these icons in Byzantine churches when you're there? It's so different from our tradition.
It's really beautiful. What I've noticed in my time of being a priest and a bishop is that many Latin rites now are beginning to understand, learn about, and are really inspired by it. There's no doubt that the title Theotokos, you could say God-bearer, there's something in that I think that's really worth taking time to just pray with, sit with. And it gives you a confidence that she really is leading us, as you were saying, Bishop Artur. She's overlooking the whole church, but each one of us, and I think each one of us as a bishop, we certainly know the need for that.
Yeah.
And I was so impressed when I went to visit you as a priest over in Albuquerque, how the people really loved you and how you were really leading them in terms of a deep sense of the gospel of life and the need to protect the unprotected and the unborn, especially.
Yeah. I was carrying the Our Lady Helper of Mother's icon, a big framed icon, which is heavy. You carry her for half an hour and it stretches all your muscles in your hands, and people found it hard to carry her. I was carrying her for 10 years and I got used to her so much that I miss her a lot. And I told her, well, now I need to be carried by you. I was carrying this. Now I need to be carried by you. She's the Hodegetria, which means the one who shows the way to Christ, of course, always holding him in her laps or in her womb. And now, she's going to carry me so I can show the right way for people to have an encounter with God.
What a beautiful image that is of her carrying you. And one thing I love about this image is that it shows so many different figures. You have a family from Nigeria. You have a little boy that was martyred in Iraq. He was only 3 years old, Adam Uday. He's over on the right. So many different people portrayed here throughout modern times, St. Maximilian Kolbe as well. But many people are unaware of the great suffering that has happened to your people and to the Byzantine Church. Talk to us a little bit about that, because we haven't heard of that here in the West much. Talk about the rich history of martyrdom and what that has meant to your church, how it has strengthened you.
In 5 minutes or less.
Our Byzantine Catholic Church is the church that went through a lot of how do you call that?
Persecutions,
right? A lot of turmoil and throughout the ages. And I just wanted to mention a short persecution that was the bloodiest, I think, of the 20th century when we were persecuted by the Soviet regime. We used to be a part of Orthodox Church and then we reunited for Rome. So the martyr bishops that suffered the persecution from the Soviet regime were the martyrs for the unity of the church. They were told that you had to come back to the Orthodox Church or you don't exist anymore. And they were encouraging people. They were going from parish to parish saying, we cannot deny our faith. Our faith is whatever is left to us. It's the most precious thing we have. Bishop Theodore was saying, to die for Christ is to live forever. And he is the inspiration of our church coming back from the persecution. He is the seed of vocations, many vocations. My vocation came out through that same seed, that was planted in 1947 when he gave his life for our church to remain faithful to the Pope of Rome. To remain faithful to the unity of the church. Okay, we are the bridge in between East and West. We are the church that suffered mostly for that unity.
Beautiful.
Desire for unity. So the Theodore Ramsey is my patron saint of my vocation. The seminary was named in his honor, that I was attending in Uzhgorod in Ukraine. And also his episcopal motto is my episcopal motto, which we say every time we come to offer the anaphora, the sacrifice of the Mass. We say, I will love you, Lord, my strength. The Lord is my rock and my refuge. And then we extend the kiss of peace to other concelebrants, and then we extend the peace to all the people, and then we go into that sacrifice. So that great sacrifice inspired me and many other people that came to church after fall apart of the Soviet Union. We kind of came from nowhere. We were like made from nothing. We weren't, God makes always something out of nothing.
Like Phoenix rising from the ashes.
Exactly. And I think to myself, here I am in Phoenix, right, rising from the ashes. Yes.
Bishop Dolan, what do you hope how can we strengthen this bond between East and West? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think this Jubilee Year of Hope really calls for that. Pope Francis has called the East and the West especially, and I really love that notion that you had about that tension, and really that's where things can break apart, and the fact that you're kind of that glue or that bond between the East and the West, the Orthodox and the Latin communion. It's so profound. But I think I think Pope Francis is basically saying, hey, this year is not only a Jubilee year, but also we're celebrating 1,700 years of proclaiming the creed, and that really keeps us together. It's a bond that is so important. So my hope is that we'll be able to reignite that, celebrate that, and beginning with our own relationship with each other. I have to say that growing up as a kid and even in the seminary, we were really remiss in reaching out to the Eastern Rite. And I think what a privilege it is that we have you right here in this locale. And I know that your expanse is far greater than ours. We're only 44,000 square miles. You're how many? 44,000 states or something like that.
13 states,
13
which
states.
is the number of Our Lady too. So.
Right. Oh, that's right. Well,
That's beautiful. Well, as we sort of wind up here, Bishop Olmsted, what do you think that we can learn as Latin Rite Catholics? What can we learn from the Byzantine Church?
I think we learn a lot from their suffering, but especially their fidelity in the suffering and the way that they kept united with one another and with Rome, even at a great expense. We can learn a lot from that because we're finding more difficult times to be faithful. It's being challenged by our society and our culture.
So true. And true that what Tertullian said, that the blood of the martyrs is the seed of the church. And see, your church is growing, that you have people coming that want to be part of your church with your beautiful traditions. Bishop Dolan, any final thoughts?
I'm just so happy, and I can't wait till we get together and have a nice dinner together so we can raise a toast to you and welcome you officially in a very special way.
To all of us, yes.
Pope John Paul II would say, Saint Pope John Paul II would say that the church needs to breathe with both lungs, east and west. So I think we've had a great demonstration of that here today. Bishops, I thank you so much for being here. God bless each of you.
Joyce.
Thank you so much. Thank you.